everybody, and welcome back to another video. Today I will be showing you guys every single wizard spell and kind of doing a showcase and rating them based on what I think. And I will be basing what I think and rating them about what the spell looks like, how effective it is, if it's useful or not when dueling, things like that. So anyways, let's get into the video. So I'm going to be doing a 100 gem giveaway in this video, so make sure to watch the whole video all the way through, because at one point in the video I will be revealing the code you need to put in your comment and how you can enter. Alright, so the first spell is Stupefy. So what this spell does is it knocks back whoever you're fighting, and it makes them fall down. The actual blast of the spell isn't as cool. It's just a little red charge of energy, although I don't think it's that bad. There's 5 shots you can do with it before there's a cooldown. So a huge shout out to salamanders for letting me test the spells on them to show you guys. Anyways, here is Stupefy in action. What it does is it blasts an opponent back and deals 20 damage per shot. Like I said before, you have 5 blasts before there's a short cooldown. The cooldown for this spell is not that long. This is a starter spell, I'm pretty sure. If I'm wrong, I'll put it on the screen, but if there's nothing on the screen, then I guess I'm right about that. I'm pretty sure you get this spell when you join the game. Next spell is Defendo. This spell you can use for attacking people. It shoots out a blast. There's 2 of these before a cooldown. It just shoots a blast that deals 18 damage to your opponent. Not as good as Stupefy, but it at least does something. But mainly you use this spell to destroy spider webs, especially when they're just around the castle, to unlock certain rooms. This spell is pretty useful. I use it way more than I use Stupefy, I know that for sure. Next is Fulguritus. This spell makes it so lightning shoots out of your wand. This has to be one of my favorite spells in the whole entire game. It's just so cool and so effective, especially for dueling. You have to click and drag your mouse to use it, and I'm completely fine with that. It's definitely one of the best spells in the entire game. I love how it looks, I love how effective it is, and it's just such a good spell. The next spell is Confringo. You can use this spell when attacking people, but you can also use it to break open cracked rocks. So if there's a room and there's a cracked rock in front of it, like the Whomping Willow, you can use Confringo and it will break open the rock for a short amount of time. You can use the spell when attacking people. I recommend not doing it in small spaces because it'll deal some damage to you too. It deals 23 damage per shot, and there are 2 of them before a cooldown. The next spell is Bublio. I use this spell a lot, and I see people using it a lot, especially when dueling, so it's a good idea to get this spell. What it does is it shoots bubbles from your wand, and they deal 5 damage each, but there is a ton of bubbles per shot. This is a good spell, if someone, has a little bit of health left. It's really good to just use this spell and just kind of finish them off. There's 1 shot per cooldown, but there's a few bubbles in each shot. Next is Agua Carcarim. I'm not good at pronouncing it. I just say Agua Carcium. I'm pretty sure it's Agua Carcium. What this spell does is if you shoot it at your opponent, it traps them in a bubble of water, basically. There's 1 per cooldown, and it raises the opponent in the air and swishes them around in water. This spell is not that useful because it only deals 10 damage, and there's 1 per shot, but it's good if you just kind of need to stun someone for a little bit. On the second row of attack, we have Vacuous. I am not good at pronouncing these out loud. I can pronounce them in my head, but not out loud. What this does is it shoots a black hole, basically, and it sucks anyone nearby into it. There's 1 per cooldown. This spell, in my opinion, is not useful whatsoever. It looks really cool, and I love the way the orb is designed, but I don't like it because it sucks you into the orb too, so it's not very useful unless you're shooting it, from far away. Next we have Fiend Fire, which is probably my favorite spell in the entire game. This spell is super hard to control. You have to learn to control it over time. It's insanely hard to control, but once you learn to control it, this spell is amazing. Do not use this spell if you are in a cramped area, because this spell will deal a lot of damage to you. This takes away half of a person's health, which is insane. So I will be standing far away. You click and drag your mouse to use this spell. And look at that. It deals 40 damage. That is a lot. And this spell is just so useful. And what I like to do, personally, is use Fiend Fire on someone, then use Fulguritus, and then boom, they're completely dead. Like, it's just such a combo move to use two of the most powerful spells in one turn. I just love it. I didn't mention this with Fiend Fire, but there is one shot per cooldown, and the cooldown is super long because it's super powerful. The next one is Glacia Maxima. Basically what this spell does is it makes it so like there's these shards of ice that penetrate the opponent. I will use it right now. Probably not going to show because this server's kind of glitching right now. As you can see, she's being lifted up in the air. I don't know why, but it's not showing right now. I'll post a picture on screen of what it looks like so you guys can see what Glacia Maxima looks like. People use this spell way too much, and in my opinion, it's a little bit overrated. I'm not a huge fan. It looks cool, but it also deals damage to you, and I'm not a huge fan of that part. Next is Rictu Sempra. This spell, it's sort of glitched in the game right now, because there's one spell per cooldown, like one shot. What it does is it's supposed to deal knockback and damage, but right now in the game, I don't know if it's like a glitch right now, if the spell's just broken. Every time I've tried to do it in any server, it doesn't do anything, but it's meant to deal large knockback and damage. Next is Luminous. This spell is not one that I use often, but it is a pretty good spell. What it is, it creates basically like an orb that just shoots everything nearby. It's good when you're doing a fight with a bunch of people, but I don't like how it fires stuff at you too, and it deals damage to you. Not as much as other players, but, you know, still a little bit. It is good if you're in, like, a crowded area and you just need to, you know, kill a bunch of people that are on low health. That spell, there is one shot, and then there is a cooldown. Next is Gladio. This spell is one that I used to not use that often, but now I use it a lot. How it works is basically like a sword comes out of your wand. It's super cool. I love how it works. We'll be able to fight basilisks with this spell in the future, but just look how cool this is. Like, it deals 10 damage per swipe, and there are 5 swipes per cooldown. It's amazing, and it deals a little bit less than half of their health, and I personally just love this spell. Just like, look how cool this is, okay? Like, come on, this is amazing. I love this spell. Next, we're moving on to the defense spell. So this is Expelliarmus. What it does is it makes the opponent drop whatever they're holding, whether it be their wand or their headmaster's key. Whatever they're holding, it'll make them drop for a short period of time, but eventually it'll be put back in their hand after a few seconds. This spell is pretty useful, although I don't catch myself using it that often. But other than that, it is a really good spell to use when you're dueling someone that's a little bit more powerful than you. The next spell is Episky. You can use this spell, it shoots out bolts of healing energy, and it'll do plus 15 health to whoever you fired at. This spell is really good when you're helping out a friend who just got attacked. The next spell is Glacius. I don't use this spell very much, although I do see a lot of people using this spell. What it does is it basically makes ice on the ground, and it makes anyone who steps on the ice slip and fall. It doesn't deal any damage, it just makes it harder for you to move around, and it's good for fighting opponents and stuff to temporarily stun them. The next spell is Ventus. This spell creates a tornado that flings anyone around it. I love that this spell does not work on the caster, only on the people that you shoot it at. So anyone nearby will be flung around. This spell is extremely useful if you're creating a diversion. Just kind of get rid of everyone that's in the surrounding area. I use this spell a lot. It's super useful. Next spell is Protego. I keep forgetting to say, but what the cooldowns and stuff are. But this spell, there's a one shot for the cooldown. It's just a little bubble that surrounds you for a few seconds, and it makes it so that any attacks that get, shot at you will just randomly I don't know, like they'll fling back, they'll shoot back, and it won't deal any damage to you. But this spell only lasts for a few seconds. Next is Arrest of Momentum, the most sought after spell in the entire game. It creates this whole circle basically where time will just stop and everyone in the circle will slow down. This spell I use a lot. It slows down the movement of everybody in the surrounding area and it just looks so cool. Anytime I use it, tons of people ask me, so how'd you get Arrest of Momentum? I might make a video on that later, but you'll be able to get it normally when the big update comes out, but for now you have to glitch into a different part of the map. Next is Expecto Patronum. I'm too lazy to fly over to the Forbidden Forest. What this spell does is it repels any Dementors that are coming your way, and it just shoots one blast of blue energy. There's one per cooldown, and in the future there will be animal Patronuses and stuff. Right now we just have the normal Patronus charm and just the normal blast. But I cannot wait until we get the actual version of the spell. Next is Guymermum. This spell creates a wall of basically rock and earth. It's really good, and in my opinion, it's fun to do it on fireplaces, so the person's stuck inside the fireplace. It lasts for a decent amount of time, actually, and it's pretty useful if you need to heal. You just use Guymermum, and then in case you have Helios, and then, you have a little safe place for a few seconds. And the next one is Immobulus. This spell causes anyone or anything to stop moving. They are not able to move for a few seconds. There's one shot per cooldown. This spell is only good on targets that aren't jumping around. I hate when people jump around. If they're not jumping around, I recommend using the spell. You can use it on anything. The Whomping Willow, other players, creatures, anything really. I find this spell to be really useful, although I don't catch myself using it that much. Next spell is Fumos. What this spell does is it creates a cloud of smoke. Good if you're in more of a dark area like the dungeons and you need to get away. Although this spell, they said it might be changed in the future, so it might be updated and things might be a little better. And next is Protego Electrica. This spell is way better than the normal Protega. It creates a little circle of energy and lightning basically, and it deals more damage than Protega does if someone fires something at you. I use this spell quite a bit. It's really cool looking and it's really useful. The next spell is Expungo. This spell basically destroys any rune or magical surface that somebody creates. Before I do Expungo, I'll be talking about how to enter the giveaway. I will be giving away 100 gems in Rowizard, and I'll be telling you guys how it works and stuff. So basically, on this video, comment your Roblox username, as well as the code, which is Legiliments, which is one of the curses. It's spelled like this. Just comment your Roblox username and the code, Legiliments, in the comment section below. That's all I need to do, and then will be entered into the giveaway. The giveaway ends March 5th, and then on that date, I will be doing a random comment picker thing to pick whoever the winner is, and in my next Rowizard video, I will be posting who the winner is, and I will be getting into a game with them and gifting them the gems. Anyways, after my little break there advertising the giveaway, here is Expungo in action. As you can see, it destroyed the rune. Now, this spell I don't use often, and I think this is probably my first time using it. Personally, I just avoid the rune instead of destroying it, unless someone places it in a really awkward position. We finished up the defense spells, now we'll move on to curses. The first is Levi Corpus. This spell basically hoists the person you're attacking into the air, and then holds them there, and in this state, they cannot cast any spells because their wand is not, able to be used since they're in the air. I use this spell quite a bit, and it's fun for trolling. The next one is Confundo. What this spell does, it makes the person that you shoot the spell at just run and walk and trip randomly. This spell is good also for just trolling purposes with your friends, and it just makes the person wander around aimlessly until the spell wears off. Next is Sectum Sempra. This spell basically puts knives into the person's body, and then deals quite a bit of damage, actually. There's one shot per cooldown. I keep forgetting to say that, but it's mostly like that for most spells, by the way. It pushes the opponent into the ground and then makes it so that it deals a lot of damage. This spell I use a little bit just when someone has just a low amount of health left, but I don't do it if the person has a lot of health left unless I'm using it as like a distraction. Then the spell is Concateno. What this spell does, it creates a chain between you and the target, and any damage that they do to you will happen to them. So basically, if they shoot Fiend Fire at you and it takes away half your health, it'll take away half their health too. Next is Jimamio. What this spell does is it creates clones, basically, of you, and they will like follow your movements. It's pretty glitchy as of now, and I don't use this spell too often except for like target practice, basically. Next spell is Legilimens. I use this spell all the time. It's probably the one I use the most, mainly because it's just good, distraction. Basically what it does is it puts the person into a nightmare, and if they fail to get out, they will die, and they'll have to, teleport back or walk back. If I can, I'll post a picture of what it looks like, but I'm probably gonna be too lazy to. But you have to complete an obby once you're in Legilimens. This spell is really useful, and I use it all the time. Like, if there's a chart of most used spells that I use, this would be number one on the list. Now for the final curse, Torrent Allegra. This spell basically causes the person to dance. This is another trolling spell. In my opinion, the curses that they have in Rowizard are mainly for trolling purposes. This spell just causes the person to dance, doesn't deal any damage, and there's one shot per cooldown. Although it is pretty fun to use this on your friends. It doesn't do anything, it's just, just for fun, I guess. So now we're moving to charms. The first charm is Alohomora. This spell unlocks locked doors, basically. I'm too lazy to go over to a locked door, but it just unlocks locked doors, like Hagrid's hut and some rooms around the school. I use this spell all the time. You can also use this spell to open hidden areas, like little rock areas and stuff. Definitely I use this spell a lot, to open up secret areas. Next spell is Wingardium Leviosa. Basically, you click on an item and then you drag your mouse around, and then it'll make the item float into whatever position. This spell you use quite a bit when you're finding other spells. To unlock certain spells, you need to use Wingardium Leviosa, and if you're really skilled at using it, then you shouldn't have a problem finding new spells. Next is Accio. What this spell does is it makes an object go towards you. Instead of using Wingardium Leviosa, this is more of a shortcut because the object just goes straight towards you. I actually don't use this one that often. I prefer using Wingardium Leviosa, which you guys might be a little bit confused by. Next is Depulsa. What this spell does is it creates like a magical bolt of energy that shoots objects and people away from you. There's 2 shots per cooldown. You can use this in the library to unlock Legilimens, which I think, not Legilimens, sorry, forgot that, Fulguritus. You can use that on one of the bookshelves to unlock that spell. The next spell is Hastio, which is one that I use most. There's 3 shots per cooldown, and if you do them all at once, it makes your walk speed even faster. Basically, it just makes you faster. It's a good one running away from something, or if you have a long walk to get somewhere, you can just use this spell. I use it all the time. The next spell is Colorptus. What this spell does is it locks doors. So if there's a door that's not already locked, you can use this. It's fun when you're running away from an opponent. You can just lock the door of the room you got into, and it'll take them a second to unlock it again. Next we have the utility spells. First spell is Indio. It launches the caster into the air. I use this spell quite a bit. It's just a fun one to kind of mess around with, to go to certain parts of the map, like to jump on roofs. You can't really use it, to deal damage to anyone because it just does stuff to yourself. But it is a pretty useful spell, and I catch myself using it a lot. Next is Homnum Revealia. What this spell does is it makes it so you can see the location of everybody on the map. All you have to do is cast it, and then there will be a little hat icon revealing where everyone on the map is, and if there are more people on the map, then it would show me their location. It's really good when tracking down an opponent that ran away. Spell is Artmeo. What this spell does is it launches the caster forwards. It's good for when you're trying to glitch around the map, and it's good when you're also running around. It's another alternative for HTO, but there's only one shot per cooldown. I really feel like there should be more. I mean, it would be a little bit OP, but it's a good spell to use when you're trying to get from place to place really quickly. The next two spells are Lumos and Nox. Lumos creates Lumos creates light that'll come out of your wand, and then Nox just reverses the effect of it, and it makes the light go away. This spell you can use quite often, as well as Lumos Maxima. It just creates a giant thing of light, which lights up a portion of the map. It's good to use this spell when you're in a really dark place and you need to see around, like the Forbidden Forest or the Library Restricted section. By the way, everyone's always wondering, oh, where's this last utility spell? The spell doesn't exist in the game right now. There's just a slot there. Only the developers have it. But next is Paracolum. What this spell does is it creates basically a firework in the air. The spell is good if you're trying to tell a friend where you are. It just shoots firework into the air. It doesn't deal any damage. It doesn't have that much of a use unless, you're trying to show a friend where you are. It just creates little fireworks in the sky. Personally, I rarely use this spell unless I'm trying to help a friend know my location. There's 4 of these per cooldown. And the next spells are runes. Incasium Bombarda makes it so anyone who steps on it will explode. It deals 25 damage if they step on it, and it disappears as soon as they step on it, but it does deal some damage, and it flings them around a little bit as well. I use this spell a lot, especially when I'm trying to make it so no one can leave a room. And the next one is Incasium Levo. What this spell does is anyone who steps on it will be launched into the air. It's like a little trampoline, and it's fun to use to distract people. I catch myself using it quite a bit, actually. And the next one is Incasium Helios. It heals anybody that steps on it. 5 little healing things at a time. It's pretty slow moving. I'd rather use a Pisky if it's someone else, but if it's me, I'm training myself, I'll just use Incasium Helios. Anyways, that's all the spells that there are so far in Row Wizard. Thank you guys so much for watching, and if you're watching to the end, thank you so much. It means a lot to me. Anyways, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.